Welcome to a Cofi with the FinTech Pod. We'll explore the latest trends, innovations, and ideas shaping the financial industry. Join host Alex Irigoyen as he interviews leading experts in the field. Learn from top CFO, tech leaders, investors, and many more. Join us and get inspired. Let's get started.
Hi everybody, and welcome to a new episode of A Coffee With. Today with us we have guest Traeton McGlohon. Traeton is the founder and CEO of Traeton, a company that is offering fractional CFO service for small and medium enterprises. Traeton, thank you very much for joining us today and being on the podcast.
Yes, thanks so much, Alex. Really great to be here and speaking with you all today.
Awesome. How are these weeks going, Traeton? I know it's tax season. It's been stressful weeks, or how are you managing all your portfolio companies?
Yes. This is definitely one of the most busiest times of the year, tax season, which essentially should be over April 18th. But during this time, clients are reaching out. Everyone's trying to make sure that they are paying off their taxes from the previous year, and also ready to look forward and making sure everything's in line for 2023. So it's just really been a hustle to the finish line here, but definitely I'm very motivated and keeping pushing forward.
Awesome. When is it going to be more calm, at the end of April, or when things get a little more relaxed?
Definitely, yeah. Normally around tax season, the big rush or the eye of the storm is right before, and that period between through March 15th with the S corp S corp tax returns, as well as April 18th. Then you have your 1040s. So you have most of your action happening between that time, and then after that, you normally get a little bit more relaxed rest, but you still have people who are doing extensions. So it can be still a little bit busy, but it just definitely calms down a lot after April 18th.
Perfect. So best luck with that. Traeton, thank you very much for joining us today. Your background is in finance, in tech. Did you know that you were going to finish or being a founder with your fractional CFO career, or how did it happen? How did you get to this point? Could you summarize a bit your background?
Yeah, definitely. So pretty much how I got into finance in general was I found it the most interesting while I was in college. And I pretty much did an undergraduate in finance and economics. And then from there on, I went working into the banking industry and really got a chance to see how the banks work throughout the United States and abroad as well. And then from there, I transitioned further into technology, fintech, as well as accounting. And I really just enjoyed it so much. I love the flexibility of it. I love the ability to work specifically with clients and to help them to meet strategic goals, and also to utilize financial technology to really just streamline processes. So through that just love of everything, I began to form FinTray, which was allowing me to more utilize those skills and the things that I have learned to help small business owners and clients as well along with this journey.
Nice. Are you at FinTray focusing on any specific area of companies? Are they working in a certain vertical, or are you working with a large set of different type of businesses?
Yeah, definitely. I think early on, a lot of times, some people go the route where you niche down into a specific industry right off the bat. And then others, you kind of just feel around the market. I would say I'm more of someone at this point who's kind of opened up the business to anyone that needs that service of that, financial, strategic finance type service and bookkeeping. So I pretty much just open up the doors to anyone who feels they need help. So I've worked with clients that have more of an inventory type business, and I have clients that have more of a service type business as well. So I pretty much at this point just done that. But in the future, I definitely am still open to one day niching down if I find an industry I really enjoy more than others.
Is there any technology do you enjoy more, tech or any specific one that you're already thinking about?
So in terms of like technologies, I mostly do use a lot of your accounting technologies, your typical QuickBooks, but then there's also many integrations that can be done with QuickBooks for clients that want to do more of like, financial analysis of the actual data that we're collecting. The great thing about working with a portfolio of clients is each client has their own specific needs. So a lot of times on that road of learning their business as well, you can find go out into the market and find maybe, hey, there's a technology that might be able to help us in this area, or hey, maybe we don't need this, maybe we can do this a different way. So it's really great. I think there's a broad opening and a broad categories of different fintech technologies and accounting technologies that can be used today and leveraged very well.
Yeah. How do you try to manage to work with multiple companies at the same time? Because I imagine that, well, since each business is different, and definitely in finance as well, like starting to work, let's say, during the day with one company, then jump into the other, jump into the next one. How do you manage working with that large portfolio?
Definitely. So one thing, I have a very interesting background because I've worked in so many different industries in finance, all the way from nonprofit industry. I've worked in the banking sector. I've worked in the fintech space. So I've really been exposed to a large variety of different clients. So the first thing that I'm always trying to do is just understand the business of the client that I'm working with, to say, hey, what is it that you do? You're the expert. Explain to me what that is, and help me to get where I need to be so that I can actually perform these financial services and really help you to get you where you want to be. So really just being able to talk with the business owner, have that type of relationship so that we can understand the business, and just doing that across different businesses as well. Now, if there's something that I'm not completely understanding, or if there's maybe an industry that I just am not the best person to help with, then I will say, hey, I'm not the best person, but I might know someone who could help you in this type of industry.
Mm-hmm. Do you normally partner with other finance experts for accounting, for legal, tax, or is it you that you cover in everything?
Yeah, so right now I'm pretty much focused in two main strategic areas. One being that of bookkeeping, the other of being more of CFO services. I call it virtual CFO services. So those are my two main area offerings. I am getting more and more into the tax section of things as well, but for the most part at this time, I just stick with those two main points. And then in terms of partnering with others, I think utilizing communities such as LinkedIn, where it's just a large base of people that do so many different great things. I really try to tap into that network to say, hey, I don't know a lot about taxes for this specific entity structure, but what I can do is refer you to someone that I know that might be able to help you out. So I really think tapping into those type of online communities and helping the client really find what they're looking for is the best route to go in 2023 in this technology boom era that we're in.
Yeah, that's true. And I wonder now, Traeton, with all this banking situation, is that affecting across the companies you work with, or how are they living these last few weeks that, as you know, have been a bit chaotic in terms of banking and finance? How is that impacting?
Yeah, so I would say for the clients that I work with, it hasn't really affected them as much because they're not necessarily in the industries. I work mostly with small business owners, so they can be a little bit more, locally based, or maybe just more statewide. With the recent, banking failures, of places like, your SVB, that's really more geared towards your finance, your startup tech companies, Silicon Valley. You also have, your Credit Suisse, which is more big banking. So a lot of that didn't really affect my clients, but I definitely have talked with other virtuals and fractional CFOs where they were on the phone and calling their clients and say, hey, we need to do something. There's a lot of things going on right now, and we need to secure your funds.
Yeah. So all safe in there then.
Yeah, safe on our end. We were safe.
Okay. So you have Traeton as well background in tech. I wonder, how do you manage to keep always up to date with the latest technologies? Are you researching by your own to bring those technologies to to the portfolio companies, or how do you manage this all this technological innovation that in finance it's very common these days?
Yes, definitely. I'm always trying to like keep myself intact with everything, from things such as reading maybe a magazine or some type of article online to see, hey, what's new on the market right now in tech and finance in tech. I love the combination of those two, because a lot of the processes that we used to do in the past that were so manual are now being just streamlined to the point where things can run a lot more efficiently. So other things I like to do as well is, while working with new clients, understanding their pain points, understanding their problems. During those moments, I can say, hey, this is a pain point that we have, but let me go out and do some research and find out, is there any type of technologies that could help us with this, help us do it faster, more efficiently, and really and more cost efficient as well. So I think those are some great ways to really stay on board with things. Is one, just from the clients you work with, finding new technologies from learning their problems, and then the other thing is just doing your research on your own and really understanding and staying on top of the current fintech space.
Mm-hmm. Is there any technology that you've seen lately that had impressed you? And it's not possible to answer ChatGPT. That's not a possible answer.
Yes. That is probably the number one right now is ChatGPT, to be able to see kind of where we're going in the sense of having a system that can really just even read a financial statement and then give notes on it, and then be so diverse to be able to even respond to other everyday questions. So I'm really looking at these type of technologies, as well as you have your up and coming startups all over the board. The other day I posted a screenshot of just all of the different new fintech technologies across different industries, from your normal accounting softwares to your FP&A softwares to your just visualization of data softwares. I mean, this is really the great time to be in finance, and really just utilize these to your advantage.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And I wonder, Traeton, you're working with multiple startup owners, business owners that they are all entrepreneurs. So is there any common mistakes that you see founders doing across the board? How do you, because at the end of the day you have like a open view, right, of multiple companies working at the same time. Is there something in some common mistakes that you see with the founders?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest mistake, I would say, is waiting too long to get help within the financial process. Early on, when you're starting, like an entrepreneur, and you're starting your business, or even if you're a little bit early on into starting a business, a lot of the tasks first come out to a lot of administrative tasks, getting things set up right. So in the technologies, you got to do your initial onboarding, get everything set up right so that you can have a successful start. What I see from a lot of founders is trying to maybe save a buck here or there and do it on their own, try to figure it out as you go along. But some of these mistakes that you might make early on could actually end up costing you a lot more money. That's from the perspective of, cost you in taxes. Maybe you didn't set up your entity right. Cost you in terms of how you're projecting your expenses and revenue, and you're budgeting things for the year. If you're doing this incorrectly, you might be leaving a lot of money on the table or overspending. And then the other thing is just not doing it at all and just kind of running your business laissez-faire. That ends up leading as well to a lot of mistakes across the board. So that's normally what I've seen most that has affected founders and entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. So when you go with them and start working with them with Fintrae, these companies already have like a financial base that they working with, or you pretty much to start helping them out from zero or from a start level?
Great question. Yes. So I've really had a mix of all. So I've had some companies that have already, once again, these are small business companies, but some of them who have already, have a little bit of a structure going on. They already have a few processes. Maybe they had someone that was helping them previously, and now for some reason that didn't work out, and they're looking for someone new. So I can come in and be a resource to help. And then I've also worked, just recently I onboarded a client that was completely fresh, completely new. on this entrepreneur journey, and we're kind of setting up all of the systems first. We're getting everything in order so that we can put ourselves in a place for success. So I pretty much look across the board with different clients that have different needs, and so I take them whatever part of the journey that they're in. I go ahead and help them out from there.
Mm-hmm. How about the budgets and the forecast? Is it something that the companies already have, or is it something that you try to help them build?
Yeah, so I've noticed one thing is a lot of times I speak with business owners. That is actually one of the main pain points that they come to me with, is being able to budget properly and forecast properly for the future, for the growth of their business, and that is definitely understandable. So normally, what we want to do first, the very first thing we have to do is make sure that our bookkeeping is actually up to date. We got to make sure that the data that we're using is actually accurate, so that the forecast that we create and the budgets we're making actually work. Because if what we inputted doesn't line up, if what we inputted isn't correct, then all that we're creating on the financial end doesn't really matter, because we're making projections based off of bad data. So once we've kind of been able to do a full sweep of that data through bookkeeping searches, cleanup, then we're able to actually go in and start saying, hey, this is where we are losing money. These are not value-added activities. Maybe we need to switch our direction. So getting that input and having that dialogue with business owners about strategic goals, long-term goals, short-term goals, under realistic goals, setting up realistic goals, that really gives us the very first stepping stone to really start putting together a full financial plan.
Mm-hmm. Is this forecast something that you do quarterly with them? You do it normally once a year? Because at the end of the day, like the news, the environment, the global economy is changing so fast, many times in the last years, right? So how often are you Traeton working in these budgets and reforecasts?
Definitely. So mostly from just my experience, quarterly is normally the standard where we will take a look, and it also depends on what type of budget that we're working with, or how we're deciding to actually do our budget. But quarterly is normally the interval that I first like to work with. Within that time span, of course, things can change, and if there's any very significant events that really just change the environment completely, then maybe we need to revisit it a lot earlier than that. But in general, maybe a quarterly forecast, and then a check-in with the company to see, hey, how is everything going? What areas did we fail in? What areas do we need to do better? And how can we make those changes to be on track with what our previously stated goals were? So that's normally the interval, but depending on how the environment is going, we can always adjust that as well.
Yeah. And these quarterly forecasts are as detailed as the annual budget, or do you go in the reforecasting on a more high level analysis of the forecast comparing to the budget?
Yeah. So and if I understood you correctly, just in terms of doing an annual forecast versus a quarterly forecast.
Yeah. Do you go in the same level of detail? Because normally companies for the budget, they go very detailed, pretty much to every single line item in the P&L or balance sheet. But when it comes to the forecasting, to the reforecast quarterly, they just do it on a higher level. So do you still work in the same amount of detail, or do you just try to, okay, let's do some tweaks in here so we can adapt it, but we don't have to go all the way to the detail?
Definitely, yeah. It's always great to be able to just kind of do like a higher level, a higher level forecast. But it also depends on what position the company is in at the moment, because if the company we're dying for cash, we have a lot of debt, we're really having some struggles in different areas, then that might be something that we need to really dive into a lot with more detail. So combing through everything, making sure that it's very on track, being more strict with how we approach things. But if it's something where a company is running normal as usual, and it's not in any type of dire circumstances, then definitely I think just more of a high level adjustments here or there would be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Just finally for Traeton, for doing these budgets, what are some of the inputs that you gathering from the companies? What key data you asking them to try to build these budgets?
Well, definitely. So if we have a client, that's very employee, heavy. We definitely want to get like a head count. Are we planning to, hire anyone else new this fiscal year? What about potential benefits rollouts that we're going to give to them as well? We need to take a look at that and how much that costs. That's one of the main drivers because that is one of the highest expenses for most small businesses is the people, and the people are the engine that keeps everything running as well. And then other things as well that I always keep an eye on is just rent. Rent expense is something that comes up often with my small business owners as well because we need to know how much can we afford, what office space will actually allow us to do our actual work. And then as well if we have a very inventory type based, we need to know how much is our how we're going to contract with our vendors this year in terms of getting the products that we need to sell. So those are the main three areas that I'm looking for drivers early on around for most businesses.
Awesome. Great, Traeton. This has been very super helpful information that you've shared with us. Our last guest has a question for you. It's in terms of how do you manage to handle the situations of stress or anxiety, right? When any of these companies or your own business or whatever thing in life can be, what are your strategies to handle stress and anxiety?
Yes, definitely. So for me, I find a lot of stress and anxiety comes from not being prepared and not being organized. So that's one of the most important things that I try to do is make sure that I know exactly what is needed from me. I have a lot of time to complete a specific task, and I'm organized and I know what's going on and I'm on top of everything. Normally when I'm on top of things, that kind of helps me to stay not as stressed because I'll be prepared for my meetings. I'll be prepared for what is coming my way. And then another thing too is making sure to have those boundaries as well on how much you're going to work. I'm definitely like workaholic. So sometimes I have to really tell myself, all right, I need to stop for today, and I need to make sure I get at least my 8 hours, 7 hours of sleep every night to keep functioning at a high level. So and then also spending some time with family and friends and just stepping away from finance and everything as well is a really great way to really handle all the stress. Now during tax time that I'm in right now, I wish I could do more of that here or there, but hopefully as we get back into the normal swing of things, I can definitely go back to those main drivers of relaxation.
Awesome. For sure you will. Great. So Traeton, thank you very much. For the people that they want to connect with you, they want to contact, where can we find you?
Definitely. So my website is www.fintrade.com. Right now, we're actually doing a full revamping of the website as well as the service offering. So it's pretty much going to link you right back to my LinkedIn. So if you need to get in touch for now, you can reach out to me through my LinkedIn. In a little bit, TBD will have the website back up and running, fully redesigned with new offerings and everything that can help the client out even more.
Awesome. Traeton, thank you very much for joining us today on the pod, and looking forward to have you soon again back in here.
Okay. Thanks so much, Alex. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you.